Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all doing okay. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining me on the planet. My name is June Allen, and I am a racial trauma therapist, and I am the founder of The Art of Greatness at juneallen.net. So, today I want to talk to you about the importance of having a sacred space. Okay, this is a question that I received from one of my new clients, actually, which I'm really excited about working, starting the journey with her. But one of the things that she talked about, or one of the things that she asked was, why bother having a sacred space? Like, do I need to have an altar? Like, why is it important? All of that kind of stuff. So I really want to talk to you today about the importance of having a sacred space. But before I do that, I just want to remind you that today I still have some early bird tickets for my half-day retreat, The Art of Receiving, which is on the 15th of July, Saturday the 15th of July, from 10 till... hiya, thanks for joining, from 10 till 2. On Saturday the 15th of July. There's still some early bird tickets left. £25 versus £30. It's 4 hours, 2 workshops. Okay, it's an absolute steal at that price. Okay, so click the link in my bio, go to heal.juneallen.net. That's heal.juneallen.net. That's heal.juneallen.net. So back to the content. So the importance of a sacred space. Now, a sacred space is both physical and spiritual. Okay, there's 2 parts to it. So the whole idea of having a sacred space is to anchor you. Okay, it gets you in a certain type of mindset. It's a date with yourself. Okay, it's a date with yourself. Now, everybody has an ecosystem within them of different parts. Okay, different parts that have different needs, that have different, they relate differently with each other and with the outside world in relationship and stuff like that. But at the core of all of those different parts that you have, okay, is your sacred self, the part of you that is connected to higher power, God, spirituality, nature, however you identify with that part. But we all have a sacred space inside, a sacred self. You are a cup of God, higher power, spirituality, nature, however you identify. Everybody has that part. Now, the reason why a lot of us suffer and why a lot of us are in pain is because there is a disconnection to that part of ourself. We don't really understand. There's so much rubble. I was sharing about this yesterday. There's so much rubble, okay, because of the pain that we've experienced and all of that. There's rubble that's kind of blocking our relationship with that part of ourself. So when you have a sacred space, okay, it's an opportunity for you to reconnect to that part of yourself. Now, when we talk about it being from the physical sense, there's loads of different things that you can do to have a physical, first to create the physical space. Now, what I would suggest is that you find a part of your home. It can be outside as well, actually, if you want it to be. You find a space that makes you feel calm. So you might want to, if it's inside your home, you might want to create a space, where, where you're not going to be disturbed, where, maybe it's right beside a window where you can see outside, especially if there's nature and stuff outside, if there's trees or whatever. It might be that you have, where you do meditation. It might be, in my space, I have like a meditation cushion in mine. It might be that you have like a spiritual vision board where it has things like affirmations. You might have any spiritual or religious deities or images on there. For me, I have pictures of my art on mine. It might be that you have a plant on there. It might be that you decide that you're going to be pouring libation, like our ancestors used to, bring in the cultural element to it. So if you have a plant, you can make libation part of your practice. It might be that you have photographs of ancestors that you respect. Maybe it's ancestors that are in your family, people that really cared about you, that are your ancestors. Maybe you want to have pictures of them there. If you don't want to put your ancestors from your family on there, you can put ancestors that you admire. People like for me, it's people like Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, Amy Garvey. There's so many different people that Maya Angelou's another one that was also on my thing, and mine needs changing actually, because I'm gonna, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Oh, the pollen this time of the morning. Oh, excuse me. Oh. Oh, excuse me, everyone. So you might want to have some pictures of ancestors or people that you admire, whether they're, maybe you want to put people on there that are living that you admire, coaches that you admire, people that make you feel safe, that make you feel comfortable. Okay, so you build that altar. Thank you. You build that altar with things that make you feel comfortable, that make you feel safe. Okay, so once you've got that, then so that's your physical space. Make sure it's clean, make sure it's when you go in there, maybe you want to go and buy some incense and stuff like that, maybe you want some candles. Okay, there's loads of things that you can use to make you feel comfortable, so you do that. Okay, you make the physical space there, and you make it so you feel comfortable. Then you pick a time, a regular time each day where you will go to that place and do your ritual. Okay, so you might want to start with a meditation, 5 minutes or whatever. You might want to read something, if it's some sort of spiritual text. It doesn't have to be, if you're not Christian, it doesn't have to be the Bible. If you want to do the Bible, that's fine. That's, whatever makes you feel comfortable. It might be just a text by somebody that you really like. Pick something that makes you feel, again, that is going to help you connect to yourself. It's going to help you connect to your sacred self. Okay, so after you've done that, maybe you want to do some journaling afterwards. One of the reasons that I have so many journal prompts and stuff in my virtual library is that so people can actually pull out a journal prompt that works for them. I actually have a series of journal prompts that I use in the mornings, different journal prompts, and then I just pick one that resonates with me that morning, and then I just do some journaling on it. And then afterwards, you might want to again just say a prayer or whatever. And praying doesn't necessarily mean a Christian thing. It just means talking to your higher power, however you understand it. So, you might want to just talk to your higher power, your higher self, talk to your ancestors. Again, you've got to make it your own. You've got to do what works for you. Okay. So once you've done that, then it makes it easier for you to kind of go off and do your day, because you've actually brought you've shifted the energy, you've anchored yourself. You've anchored yourself in those rituals, in that space that is sacred for you, and it means that your day is probably going to be a lot different by doing that, because the first thing that you've done is you've kind of immersed yourself in the sacredness. You've actually brought your sacred self as a priority to help you make better decisions. And something that's really important is that I'll often find that when I'm going through the day, I feel a lot more anchored. If I have, and I'll still have days where I miss, I don't do it every single day. Sometimes I miss days. And it doesn't mean you have to beat yourself up for missing a day. You just get back onto it. Just get back onto it the next day. And the other thing is as well, it doesn't have to be in the morning. Sometimes maybe the evening works better for you. So to having a sacred space, I call it sacred sister time. I say to my class, this is sacred sister time. You do it in the evening. Then the evening one is more about reviewing the day. So you got to do what works for you. The evening sacred sister time is more about reviewing the day. What did you do? What did you learn? What were your wins? All of that kind of stuff. In the morning, it's about setting the intention for the day. And sometimes I'll do both. Sometimes I'll get up and do all that stuff, and then in the evening I'll do a little check-in with myself. How did I feel during the day? Was there anything, what worked? What didn't work? What did I learn? What can I do tomorrow? To make the day, a lot better than it was today. So it's just like a little check-in, So, and also just in relation to what I was talking about the other day about your needs and stuff like that. Having that date with yourself, having that check-in is also important for you to understand what your needs are, because it's an opportunity for you to get still. It's an opportunity for you to pause. And, you know, living under this system of racism, sexism, capitalism, all of that, especially when we're talking about grind culture and all of that kind of stuff, systems of oppression that want you to always be productive. Okay, when you make time for yourself, when you make that sacred sister time for yourself, and you sit down in your sacred space, and you give yourself permission to pause, you're resisting those systems. You're resisting those systems that only want to treat you like you're a mule. You're resisting those systems that say that you should always be hustling. You're resisting those systems that the inner critic is telling you that you're lazy if you're not always doing something. You're giving yourself permission to pause and go, okay, I'm a human being. What do I need to do today? Let me look at my to-do list. Is there too much stuff on my to-do list? What can I get rid of today that would just make my day feel a lot more kinder? How can you be kinder to yourself? Is your to-do list nurturing? Is there anything fun on there? You know, quite often our to-do list is too packed with stuff that is practical. Okay, a lot of us have got responsibilities, you know, especially if you've got children and stuff like that and you work. You've got responsibilities that you got to do, you know. However, I think that something that is really important as well to put on a to-do list is something fun, something peaceful, something nurturing, and start including that as an essential part of doing your sacred sister time, just as much as you would do all of your work stuff. And when you have your sacred sister time and you tap into that part of yourself and think about how you would like to move during the day, having something to look forward to, having something to look forward to is going to help to shift the energy of the day, rather than, oh my gosh, I've got all this stuff to do today. Because sometimes I can feel like that. You know, I've got so much stuff to do today, and I have to ask myself, okay, well, if you're feeling tired, or if you're feeling like, oh gosh, you know, you've got all this stuff to do, what can I take, or what can I reschedule? Is the stuff on that list really necessary? And sometimes there's, 9 times out of 10, there's stuff on there that I can take off or reschedule. There's a lot of shoulding. There's a lot of shoulding, and where there's shoulding, there's shame. Okay, quite often when there's a lot of shoulding, I should do this, I should do that, I should do this, I should do that, I should go over here, I should talk to that. Where there's shoulding, there's shaming. Okay, and you need at those moments, and this is where the sacred sister time can be helpful. And maybe looking at your calendar actually at the end of your sacred sister time is something that you can incorporate as part of the ritual, so that you bring your spirituality into how you're actually managing the day. You look at the calendar, and then you can say to yourself, you know, is everything that's on here, is this in alignment with how I'm feeling today? Is this in alignment with what really should be a priority? You know, and something that came up for me this week actually, when I was checking in with myself, was some grief around. You know, we talked a lot about Windrush. You know, it was Windrush Day last Wednesday in the UK, and I noticed this last week there's been a real sense of sadness that's come up, and it is grief around the Windrush. It's grief around really recognizing and understanding, what we've lost as a community, as a result of the betrayal and the lies that have been told to our elders, and to us as well, about Windrush, and the fakery around. The government is like trying to they're doing loads and loads of things to try and distract us from the fact that there are still people out here that are still suffering, that haven't been, as part of the Windrush scandal and all of that kind of stuff. All of the Windrush scandal that's still not been resolved. People have still not been compensated. People have died without getting the compensation they deserve. And the way that these people are being treated, it's just being repeated over and over again that the government really don't care. They don't care about black people. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care that we came over here and did so much and helped to build this country. They're so disrespectful. And so for me, there's just been a lot of sadness and a lot of frustration, and just a lot of sadness around like the things that black people have to do just to fight to be human being. just to be treated like a human being. You know, and so yeah, there's just a lot of grief around that. The way that, you know, the impact of, you know, the migration of Windrush and all of that, how that's impacted, you know, our relationships with each other, how that's separated a lot of us, you know. And so someone saying I first where they were shooting their shame, and I first heard about Windrush from you. Yeah, it's obviously it's a British thing, it's a UK thing, and yeah, it's another element of our, you know, the migration that's part of the system that, again, that's used black people like cattle to do their dirty work. You know, they're all well and good and want to jump up and down and go, oh yeah, come and help us, come to the mother country, all that sort of bullshit. But then when we come over here, they didn't prepare us. They didn't prepare our elders for coming over here. Because they frankly, they don't care. They just want to use us as cattle. They just wanted to use us as cattle to build the country back up after the Second World War. You know, and just the way that, yeah, I just felt a lot of grief, and I just felt a lot of sadness about it. Not just Windrush itself, but just the whole idea that we've been treated in such a way. But I wouldn't have really known that I was in that grief. You know, I wouldn't have really known that I was in that grief unless I actually had that stuff, unless I had that sacred sister time to really pause. So you're saying that my mum emigrated to England before coming to Canada. Okay, so again, this is all migration. This is all black people trying to make a better name for themselves. This is all about black people trying to, you know, trying to make a life for themselves. But in doing so, so many of us, you know, our elders and stuff like that, are separated from their culture, separated from themselves. It's you know, there's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of trauma and a lot of suffering, a lot of hardship. You know, and there's also this, for me, there's also the grief and sadness around the loss of you know, the impact of the attachment stuff that gets broken as a result of all of these different ways that we've migrated. You know, and not had, and we lose relationship to our culture. We lose relationship to our language. We lose relationship to our rituals and all of that kind of stuff. But until you actually find the space, you find the space to do these rituals, to really think about, you know, these losses, and just tap into yourself, you're not gonna know. And I know for me, if I don't honor that stuff, if I don't say that stuff out loud and write on it, and really reflect on the losses and talk about it with my therapist and my people in recovery and all that sort of stuff, if I don't do that stuff, then all of that grief is going to go, it's just going to get buried, and it will probably, you know, it will morph into something else. It will show up as something else that may more likely be self-destructive. You know, because and a lot of us are holding on to a lot of grief for different reasons. A lot of us are holding on to grief for different reasons because we don't know how to grieve. We don't understand what the grief is. So this what I'm talking about today is an example of what cultural grief is. This is all cultural grief. Yeah, so that's really, really important. And then yesterday as well, actually, was the 30th anniversary for Stephen Lawrence being murdered. Stephen Lawrence was a young black man who was murdered by a group of white youths in the UK, and you know, he's never really got justice. The police and stuff were all corrupt around it. They covered up loads of stuff. I mean, it was just horrendous. It is just horrendous. The way that his family were treated, the way that the racist police covered up a whole load of stuff, and the fact that he's still not really got justice. Okay, 30 years after the boy was murdered, he still hasn't got justice, and his family just went through hell. His family just went through hell with the police and all the rest of it, trying to get justice, and they still haven't got justice 30 years later. That's what I mean. And this stuff, even though I'm not related to Stephen Lawrence, you know, even though it doesn't matter whether you're related to them or not, the fact is, it's somebody else in our community. Okay, that when you see people that look like you that are not getting justice, that people that look like you that are being abused and being abused and neglected by the police and all that kind of stuff, it still has an impact on you, because as a black person, that sends a message. that sends a message that people that are supposed to protect you and care about you and look after you at a social level, that they don't give a shit. And so that is going to have an impact on how I feel about myself. That is going to have an impact without awareness, without self-awareness, without having your rituals, without having your sacred sister time. I wouldn't really know or understand how that's going to impact me. It's only through doing my rituals and doing my sacred sister time that I check in with myself and go, okay, this stuff is getting to me. This stuff is getting to me. This stuff is really making me feel some type of way. And then from having that conversation with myself, then I can have an honest conversation with, okay, well, what's next? What do I need to do now in order to make myself, in order to soothe myself? So it might be that I decide that I'm going to maybe just pause from being on social media for a while. It might be that I put it on a list of things that I'm going to talk to my therapist about. It might be that I need to be around my community. So it might be that I want to go to an event specifically around Windrush, or maybe there's a Stephen Lawrence charity that's been set up. Maybe I want to donate some money to the charity for other. I can't remember what the charity does now. I think it does something to do with youth or something like that. I can't remember the exact details, but anyway, maybe I want to donate some money to that. Maybe I want to go and go to some sort of memorial, particularly around Windrush or whatever as well. Maybe I want to go to a memorial around Windrush, go to an event where I can be around my people, so they can be a collective space. But I won't know any of those things. I won't understand what I need in terms of those things unless I'm having that unless I have that sort of relationship with myself, and I can be compassionate to myself, okay, about those things. So that is that is the importance and the relevance of having a sacred space. Okay, that is why this is important, to be able to have a sacred space. You can process, you can reflect, you can pause, you can get in contact with your emotions. You can actually also find out what's happening in your body. What's happening in your body as a result of how you're feeling. Maybe because I'm, in terms of the grief, maybe understanding or just being aware of any heaviness that I might feel in my body. Am I getting the feeling that I want to shrink when I'm around people because of my blackness? Maybe the whole thing around Stephen Lawrence and not feeling safe as a black person because of the way black people are treated. Maybe there's part of me that's really wants to shrink. Maybe I feel like I just want to, that I want to isolate. I want to keep myself small. That's the importance of having this sacred space, because you've got to get to know yourself and how your body and how your spirit and how you react to these things emotionally. And a lot of us do this stuff without being aware of it, because we don't have that sort of relationship with ourselves. And that's the importance of, this is what it means to be doing your own work in between your therapy session or in between your group sessions or whatever it is. This is the type of stuff that I encourage my clients to do in between the sessions, is to really think about what's going on for them. Do the journal prompts, have your sacred sister time. Have your sacred sister time. This is your self-work. Okay, this is your self-work that you do in between sessions. So if you've been thinking about doing it, if you haven't already got a sacred space, okay, make time and carve some time out this weekend or when you've got time to think about, okay, what do I want in my sacred space? What would be beautiful? Maybe put flowers there and stuff every week. Think about the type of, where you want the space to be, what you want in the space, and what you want to do as part of the rituals. What exactly you want to do. If you're part of my community, there's classes and stuff actually in the virtual library which go into a lot more detail about how to do it, what to do. There's stuff that you can download and all of that kind of stuff. So that they have a space, you exactly how to do it. It'll walk you through how to do it. Actually, the other thing that I will say as well is that if you can't be part of for whatever reason, you don't want to be part of the actual group thing, then you can actually just join the virtual library, so you get access to that. If you want to do that, that's a much more affordable option. If you just want access to the library, there is an option for you to do that as well. So that's an option that you can have if you want something a bit more affordable. But yeah, so think about all those things. Think about what you want to do in terms of your sacred space, and then pick a time, like it's morning or evening or both, and think about doing that. If you've already got a sacred space, an altar that you use, maybe it's time for you to refresh, just have a refresher around it. Go and have a look and see what's there at that moment. Is it in alignment with who you are today? Okay, is it in alignment with who you are today? Is there other things that you would like to put on it, to switch it out? You know, maybe it needs a good clean. Maybe you want to refresh the vision board that you've got there, or whatever it is. You know, think about it. Maybe you want to get some new candles or whatever. Just go and refresh it. Just go and refresh it. Give it a really good clean and make sure that it's in alignment with who you are today. Give yourself permission to do that. Okay, so yeah, if you've got any questions or anything about what I've shared today, then you can drop a message in the comments, or you can DM me or email me info@yardofgreatness.com. If you've got any other questions or whatever that you want me to talk about, then please do that. So thank you for the lady that actually dropped this question in for me to talk about. And then from tomorrow, I'm going to be doing the questions about that are more business orientated. I had quite a detailed question sent through about business with loads of questions in it, so I'm going to be addressing some of those questions you know, from tomorrow. So yeah, so join me around that. So oh, you're so welcome, so yeah, again, if you haven't got your tickets already, your Windrush early bird tickets, okay, for my workshop on the 15th of July called The Art of Receiving, you know, click the link in my bio, go to heal.juneallen.net. That's heal.juneallen.net. That's heal.juneallen.net. If you want to work with me one-on-one, you want to speak about my mic, I'll give you all that information when I'm doing the business stuff. I'll talk about all of that. But if you want to work with me one-on-one, again, you can all the details and stuff are on my website. Okay, you are so welcome. I'm glad this was helpful. Have a really lovely day, everyone, and I will see you tomorrow. All right, take care. Bye. Hang on, I'm going to just end this for a minute.